are different than men that have been raised with men.
Oh, absolutely.
You see what I'm saying? So like,
Absolutely. Like that's not even a question.
it's not a question, but it is an ongoing point of contention, and I don't know if it's been handled the right way. Just like when
Nah, it hasn't.
it hasn't been
It
handled the
hasn't.
right
It
way.
hasn't. It hasn't. And it's because of the divide. You understand
Yep.
what I'm saying? It's the men who were raised by men understand how to take in the meat and spit out the bones. Pause. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The most of the men that were raised by women have an emotional kind of connection to what you're saying. It's this, like I said before, like a lot of people. But since we're talking about men, a lot of men don't know how to distinguish the difference between talking about a specific behavior and talking about them as a man.
With that said, welcome to the Code Talk Evening Show. Welcome everyone to the Code Talk Evening Show. This is part 3 in the sexual template series, and it's such a long conversation because there's so many moving parts to it, and we focused on like the initial introduction of varying personalities and behaviors that are associated with single mothers, and the children that's raised by single mothers was the second part that we focused on, and the dynamics of just the far-reaching, outcomes of it all. And now we're at the third part. We're going to discuss the nuclear family, and we're focusing all of this content on men making the decisions, because none of these problems, none of the problems that we're discussing on this platform, are we looking to hold women more accountable than we're looking to hold men. Because at this stage, as far as I'm concerned, it's delusional to try to demand a level of accountability from someone that's supposed to be supporting to your leadership than you're willing to display yourself. So with that being said, I'd like to introduce my panel members here across the table with Chris McClellan and my man, the other artist over there, Antoine Christopher.
He's okay today because he's flared out.
Yeah, you see that?
He's flared out. He's okay today.
Yeah, he got that King Cobra out.
Yeah, give him about 45 minutes. It'll be in a ponytail.
You guys got jokes already.
Yeah, that was for the joke last week. Now,
yeah.
Oh yeah.
He over there
last week.
Hey, he over there looking like a creative Vigo the Carpathian
from Ghostbusters.
Oh, you guys funny. You
No,
guys
seriously though, Antoine, I'm gonna keep it real with you. You look like the guy that you look like a mafia lord or a mafia boss. You look like at any given moment you could pull the trigger and have somebody offed.
Wow, that's a big compliment. I'll take that one.
Yeah. You're like a
that's a big compliment there.
That's hey, look, man. That's Lord Farquaad right there. Like whatever he said.
That's rich there, right there. I like you even more, Chris. Damn.
Hey, so today's conversation is the wrap up, okay? And we talked about before the introduction of what we see, what we observe, what we've experienced, and we compared, like the surface experiences, to the videos and stuff that we reacted to, right? And then in the middle, we went in the middle segment, we went further in depth and detail about it, and then sharing more experiences and opinions about it. And then the third part, we want to focus on the nuclear family, because this is the end item on the, what I'm saying, at the end of it. Because I believe that the nuclear family may be done. Like it exists, but what I mean is the decline of it. The same way people have said they are no longer attending church. You know what I'm saying? It's a couple generations of, children have been born, and couple that with technology, social media, you got less and less people attending church, and then you start seeing doubt just across the board in, you know, leadership from coming from one person, you know, and people are more free thinkers now, more inclined to go on their own volition on stuff. And so when you got people going their separate ways, so does the nuclear family, you know, because you don't get to choose the family that you're born into, but you have to choose how you deal with the family. And when you start looking at all of these different behaviors, the first place you check to see if anything that we've been talking about is true is the around the people that you've been raised by, you know, because that's the first model of the world. You know, like the worst, the worst and the best behaviors of human beings are modeled in your family first. That's why when you go in the world, if you got somebody that you bump into that you have respect for, they're going to remind you of someone in your family. Oh, that person's like my uncle. That person's like my aunt. You know, and and the same goes for the opposite. If you got some of the worst people in your family, you go into the world and you bump into somebody that reminds you of some of the worst members of your family, and you also step aside and make sure you put safe boundaries and distance between you and that unsafe person. So that's my philosophy on why family is special. It shows you, you know, like from the first and the worst to the, you know what I'm saying, to the least and to the, you know, whatever variation you want. You could pick, you know what I'm saying, you got a model of that. And if you don't have those folks in your family, that's great. Because now you got a boundary to say, hey, look, my people don't act like that, so I don't recognize that behavior, so those are not my people. But the more that this sexual discipline piece evolves, it destroys or more or less it has an impact on the way that we see family. You know what I'm saying? Because you see family through the person that you connect yourself with, and in attempts to, you know, create children. And as time goes on, you have more or less of those opportunities, you know, depending on the way that you conduct yourself, right? Because all of this stuff is behavior driven. You just can't go, you know, create a family just because you want one, you know, and it actually be good for you, because less and less people are coming from healthy environments that fit what you want. So, like, how do you model the behavior of that person in a long-term situation in which kids are produced and a nuclear family is able to grow out of?
But are
So,
you talking about the nuclear family within the black community, or you're talking in general?
in general, most people in
You think across the board in other races and nationalities, the nuclear family is not a priority?
I I think it's worth discussing to see if it is. I hadn't really like I'm basing it off of the impacts of feminism, the ongoing gender wars, the less and less people are getting married, economics. There's a broad variation of you know, things that impact whether or not people are even able to get in relationships. You got to understand, like, we have been talking about why people don't like each other anymore.
Are we
And,
talking about the product within the black community, or are we
no,
talking about?
across the spectrum. Like we're gonna start broad
You
brushstroke.
guys did the numbers last week, so
But see,
technically there isn't enough. Technically, the product isn't even good in the community, and what's left from the
Yeah.
numbers you guys, from what's left of the numbers you guys gave out.
Hey,
This
but
is what
see,
you guys
here's
gave
the
out.
thing.
So if the
Here,
product is not within the realm, I don't get it. Why would you think that they have it? It's across the board. If the product is not in the store, which it isn't according to the numbers you guys uh, told last week, what makes you think?
hey,
see, here's the thing, and Vic, I don't. I'm not gonna say. I'm just gonna say I don't recognize what you're saying when you say less and less people are getting married, because given that I've been off of social media since my birthday last year. So in real life,
hmm,
I've seen more marriages in the last year than I have in the last decade.
that's
So
cool.
I'm starting to see in real life more and more people getting married. And to be real, I'm starting to see more families being blended. Like, I'm starting to see men with kids marry women with kids. I'm starting to see men who don't want to have kids marry women with kids because they don't want to have kids, but that kid is an asset to the man and the relationship. So they see a benefit. You understand what I'm saying? And I think that's the part of it that people don't recognize. It's like we're not, Antoine and I, we would never, I don't think that I could see myself dating a woman with children. Like, I can't. However, I have seen men who are in the same position that me and Antoine are in, that don't want to have kids, but see a woman with kids, and that kid winds up being an asset and not an actual like burden. So it's not really that big of a deal to take on that responsibility, because that kid is not a burden.
Mm-hmm.
You understand what I'm saying? So this is me speaking anecdotally. Now, as far as wide scale, I don't know, because like I said, I don't the most social media that I do is YouTube, and even on YouTube, I'm only watching stuff that I can learn from. I'm not watching this nonsense about the gender war and all of that, because that's not my fight. I'm not in it. I didn't start it, and I don't want nothing to do with it. So this is the part, this might be the show where I listen. I might chime in every now and then, but this might be the part where I listen, because I'm not that engulfed in social media like that no more. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get it. And to Antoine's point, when you talked about the numbers, you're right. The numbers aren't there, based on what we discussed already. But
Yeah.
what I'm talking about is I think the conversation has been focused so much on divorce over the last 4 years. Like they coming up with the who initiates divorce, and how that discourages, people from marriage in general. And we're just talking about the surrounding popular conversation. We're not saying that we don't know people that are getting married despite that. You know what I'm saying? But when you talk about like all of the numbers that come down to how many men that are single and childless and can't, and how that breaks down to who can't even attract anybody for a relationship, then obviously marriage is going to suffer from that too. Because only I think 25% of women are married. You know what I'm saying, as of right now. And then we also talking about the increase of single mothers owning homes, which also shows there's going to be less and less married women, what I'm saying, over time. There's going to be more homeowners that are married. I do believe that economics is going to play a role in making people say, hey, man, I want this and you want this. Let's work together. And
let's hammer out a deal.
Yeah, because the numbers going to make people figure things out. You know what I'm saying? When it's advantageous to you, then you're going to make appropriate decisions. But when it's not advantageous to you, you're going to have to figure it out. You know what I'm saying? If that's what you want to do. So I got to thinking about like when we start talking about the nuclear family, only because, like Antoine pointed out, because you and Antoine desire to be married and have kids at some point in your life. So like, but you also have had conversations where you had to get out the dating pool. You know what I'm saying?
And take a shower.
Yeah. And Antoine been looking for a fresh one for as long as we've been talking. So
he's been handling fruit for a long time.
He's been in the produce section just squeezing stuff.
Yeah.
So like we can't. So I don't like saying we can't have it both ways, because all things are true, but these things exist up to a certain point. So like after a certain period of time when you're not getting what you want, what's the alternative reality behind not getting what you want? Okay. And
as far as the nuclear family?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, listen, I don't think you should settle for, if you want to have, listen, the only reason I always advocate marriage is because I would not have a kid without marriage. There would be no reason for her to be in my life. I don't need her like that.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I would need her only as my wife, and I want to have kids. I can get everything else from a woman outside of marriage if I didn't want kids. Everything, same thing. And it could keep what I have, and she can keep what she has, right? So there would be no reason, there would be no bond there to keep me there, right? I only believe that's the only reason I want to get married, is because I want kids. Now, would I marry a woman with kids? Like I said to Vic, only if the man's dead. I'm not sharing you. No one's coming to the house to pick him up, and no, you're not dropping him off anywhere. And I'm not hearing the bickering that goes on. I don't even trust it, because you already open your legs to him. So I don't even trust that right away. Right? So that's not happening for me. Some men can tolerate it. I can afford better. So I'm not doing it. Me personally, unless he's dead, because then he can have my name. I could discipline him. There's only one man in his life, which is me. And I'm the only guy he's going to know. And the other one he's visiting in a grave. And that's it. So that would be the main thing for me. And I think every man should think like that. Why would you take on another man's mistake? For what? Unless you can't do better. Now, if you don't want kids, if you don't want kids and you're up for the challenge, fine. But that kid owes you nothing.
Oh, and also understand this: men not wanting kids is a percent of the men out here.
Right.
That's the exception. That's not the rule. Most men out here want to have their own kids with their own wife, and they want to start from scratch. They don't want to take over somebody else's saved game.
No.
You understand what I'm saying?
Exactly. I mean, I want to share everything with that kid, but I'm not sharing that kid with another man. I have my preference. I just can't do it.
And that's the main reason why most men don't want to do it. They don't want to deal with another man in a relationship.
And
That's
that man
really
will
it.
always be there because that kid is there. And I always have to be reminded of that kid. So no, it's not. I don't think it's feasible. I don't think it's a workable situation.
I anecdotally speaking, I've seen it work, but it's not
Anecdotally,
the
yeah,
it's not the norm. It's really not.
I've
It's
seen
not
it
the
work.
norm.
Yeah, we agree on that. I've seen it
Yeah,
work.
I've seen it work. Like I said,
You
man,
know,
I've seen more people blend their families and actually figure things out and say, okay, you got this, I got this. My kids are an asset to you. Your kids are an asset to me. I love you. You love me. Let's put them together because
exactly.
it'll all work out. But to your point, I don't see men going out and looking for women with children, even though that's the majority of the dating pool, according to what social media and mainstream media would say. You understand and the numbers, to keep it real, because what do they say? 8 out of 10 kids are born out of wedlock.
Yeah,
And
something
you
like
and
that.
I don't have any kids, so we're over half of the men in our community don't have kids, and the other third are married. So the numbers kind of, you know what I'm saying? But like I said, man, I've seen it blend and I've seen it work, but I've also seen men attempt to take on that responsibility and fail miserably.
Miserably, and they lose a lot. And I'll even say
Yeah.
this: if I had kids, I wouldn't want a woman without kids because I know that she would want one more or have the desire to have, and I wouldn't want to hold her back on a fresh relationship, right? And I wouldn't want to do it all over again. I got my kids; they're grown, they're probably doing really well. Now they're looking to take care of me. They come and see me. I would look for a woman with kids and that kind of in the same level as me in that aspect of life.
Yeah, so that
Because
way
then
you can
now
put
we're
them
building
together and
together.
and
Now
and
we're doing our
build
own
something.
vacations. If we decide to take the kids, we do, we don't. Now we're on the same playing field as far as relationship, right? And I all I have to do is focus on her. All she has to do is focus on me. Something
Yeah.
happens with each other's kids, we can come together and say, "Well, this is what I think. This is what you think." You know what I mean? There's an even parenting right there. So that I wouldn't look for a woman without kids if I had kids because I've done it already,
Right.
and I don't want to start all over again. Because
Okay.
I'd be content,
I mean, it makes sense.
you know.
It makes
Because I
sense.
want, I just. First of all, I got a jealous streak about me, so I didn't know, I want other
Well, at
women.
least you know that about yourself.
Yeah, yeah, dude. I don't need a reminder. I don't know. Like I said, some men could do it. You know, some men could do it. Some men are okay with it, which is fine. But that is not the norm.
Yeah,
If
that's
you're
that's the
financially
exception.
good, if you're financially good, doing good in life, you know you can provide. You're doing everything right. You're growing. You're building. You ain't taking on somebody else's problem. You're not. You're not doing it. You're looking for the freshest thing possible. You know what I mean? And that's what you're gonna go for. And you want your own legacy. You become selfish, like you become like a lion. You know?
And I'm only speaking for me. It's not saying that single mothers are bad people. It's just that you have a child and I want my own family and I don't want to deal with another man in my relationship. You're not a horrible person. You
No,
just have
not at
that.
all.
You just have that right there that's kind of hindering me from wanting to build anything more with you because I know I got to deal with him. And I don't want to deal with him when I'm supposed to only be dealing with you. That's really it.
And let's be honest. Let's be honest. Most men, if I had to put a number to it, 75 to 80% of men don't want to deal with somebody else's. They don't. Especially if they're financially sound and they don't need a roof over their head. Let's be real about that. That's where I'm coming from.
Right.
But like I said, and I would even understand if a woman said she doesn't want to date a man with kids, nor should she
Yeah, I
want,
get that too.
nor should she want to. I
Yeah.
wouldn't if I was a woman. If I was a woman, I have no kids of my own. I want somebody level-headed, coming into it for the first time, building with me, planning for a kid. I would want all that good stuff. I wouldn't want to deal with another man's baby mama, ex-wife.
Exactly.
I ain't doing none of that.
It goes the same way that we said we don't want to deal with another man's saved game. There are women out there that don't want to deal with your baby mama.
I don't blame them.
You understand what I'm saying? And I get it.
Yeah. Yeah, especially like I said, depending on what age you're at. If you're in your 60s and your kids are growing and doing their thing, she's in her 60s or 50s or whatever it is, her kids are growing and doing your thing. That's a two different thing. Now we're just focusing on us because the kids are out of the house.
Yeah, and we trying to go on with life.
Yeah.
Because we don't have to worry about the children. The children are fine. But
yeah, exactly.
Our age down, I don't know, man. I don't know. Like I said, anecdotally speaking, I've seen it in real life, but it's not the norm. It's really not. It's not the norm. It's the exception.
It really
and the
is.
only thing the exception proves is that a norm exists.
Yeah.
Yeah. You already working with, like if you're working with the exception, you working with the few. It's only a few, which also goes back to what everybody always defaults and says: 8 billion people in the world. You can go find whoever you want to find if that's what you're looking for, you know. And it really is a challenge to how bad you really want the nuclear family. You know what I'm saying? Because I think that's the other revealing thing, you know, because if you know where your odds are better at and your heart is really set on, you know, if you want a family, you're going to compromise. You're going to do what it takes. Like, I think the extreme is, you know, you start getting into the passport boy territory, you know what I'm saying? And that's part of the reason, like, that's why they exist, you know, but they've always been there. Like, it happened long before it even became a term, you know what I'm saying?
They just got loud about it.
They just got loud about it.
They got loud about it.
Yeah.
They got loud about it, just like the divestors on the other side got loud about going to Zaddy when they thought that we wasn't up to par, and then found out.
What's Zaddy? What is that?
The other race.
Oh,
that's
what they
call it. Zaddy? They call it Zaddy?
Zaddy with a Z.
I'm not even saying that. Because
I had to put emphasis on it. That's why I said it. But they are just as loud as the other set was. It's just that for some strange reason, they got praise for it. And the passport bros are getting destroyed on mainstream media and social media because they're viewed as weak because they don't want to deal with the abuse that comes with dealing with some of the women in our community, or the baggage that comes with some of the women in our community.
But why would you?
I think between all of these different things, right? I think there's a group of people that gets exactly what they want, and they make the adjustments to get what they want, and they don't go crying about it. They don't go bragging about it. They don't go telling everybody, you know what I'm saying?
That's the majority. I call anybody on the internet talking crazy the loud minority, because the silent majority is going about their life.
They're not focused on validating their individual life off of what's in their timeline. You know what I'm saying? They're like, those people can't get what they want next, you know, because it's only the people that's not getting what they want that are complaining. So for every one person that's not getting what they want, there's thousands that do. So it's really easy to create a narrative that there are no good versions of the opposite sex available for a relationship. You know what I'm saying? Because even before we get to talking about a nuclear family, we got to get to the point where people actually like each other again.
I think that's done.
Yeah, but you see what I'm saying? So now, like, if you say that that's done, right?
That's done.
If it's done at that level, then where is the nuclear family?
And just like Antoine is saying, man, so many of us on both sides are so jaded because of our own personal experiences that we really don't think that there's anything out there. I'm not going to hold you. I used to be that guy. Yeah. I used to be so jaded that I didn't think that there was anybody out there that was good. I used to think everybody was out to get me. Everybody was out to use me. Everybody was out to do some type of harm to me. I had to grow out of that, because everybody isn't like that. And that's a good way to miss out on your blessing.
Oh, yeah.
By thinking that everybody is bad.
Well, no one really could say everybody because who knows everybody. But
I don't do
from
absolute.
a single guy that's in the present world, modern day dating, like I date. You know, I do the Rumble thing, I do the Hinge thing. You know what I mean? I do, you know what I mean? You get your little pokey from the fatty thing. You know, I'm dating.
Pokey
I mean,
from the fact it is too early in the
I'm
show.
sorry. If we're gonna be real, let's be real. Come on now. You know, the last one
I
in the
love it
bar
here.
is not exactly a supermodel. You know what
I
I
love
mean?
it here so much.
I need somebody to start documenting these terms. Okay, Chris
But
came
as a
in.
guy that's
Everything unraveled after Zaddy. Okay, you know.
okay,
Like,
I didn't know about Zaddy, but as a guy
yeah.
that's dating, Chris, you cannot tell me. Listen, I believe in the nuclear family. I was raised
As
in
do
one.
I.
Dude. Let me tell you something. Nothing straightened me up more than my mom telling me, "Wait till your dad gets home." I was raised in. I see my brother doing it with his kids. There, all the examples that I have of people with nuclear families, their kids are good. Are there the bad ones? Some of them get on drugs. They have it too. Maybe the kids, the parents spoil them. Yes, based on situations and circumstances. But as far as the kid coming home and raising the kid right, the morals and the values are set in stone. You know, that takes a weight off the mother. You know, it takes a weight off the father to know that the mother's handling business at home. He relies on her to tell him everything that's happening with the kids. She relies on him for providing for the house and making sure. So it's a perfect blend. And that being a perfect blend, I am not going to worry about dishes, blankets, and sheets and all that other stuff. I'm not going to worry about it. I don't want to worry about it, right? My father never, ever questioned my mom about what's on the sheets. Did you make the bed this morning? The food. He said, well, just make the grocery list. We'll go out and shop for it. It was a total, all we cared about was birthday cakes and presents and stuff like that. So it was really an ease on the child gets to be a child. The wife gets to be a wife, and the father gets to, you know, to relish in his you know, in his accomplishments with the family. And I want that. I believe
As
in
do
that.
I.
No, I'm never gonna get jaded on the nuclear family. Never. That's you know, you want to get jaded, that's on you.
No. When I said jaded, I
No,
wasn't
not
talking
you though.
about being jaded. But when I said jaded, I wasn't talking about being jaded on a nuclear family
Oh,
because I want to be a husband and I want to be a father too. That's why I built my YouTube channel because I'm talking to dads and I'm talking to
yeah,
fathers because
dude.
I'm trying to figure out how to do it right. You understand what I'm saying? I legit want to do that. When I said jaded, I meant I gotta look out and make sure that this person is actually doing what she's supposed to do because I don't know if she's going to flip like everybody else in my life. That's what I
Right,
meant by jaded. You
right.
understand what I'm saying? The nuclear family is the pillar of any community is the nuclear family. We need the nuclear family to grow as a community. Well,
Yeah.
grow as a community, but first we need a community instead of people living next door
I
to
would
each
say,
other.
well, the community is a done deal. Let's not even go there with community. The community
Yeah,
ain't happening.
I
That's over
hate
with.
to
That
say it,
the
but I
community
do
is
agree with you.
done, right? Especially if you want a solid black one, that's done. The community is mixed now, so there ain't a community anymore. That will never. The black man and the black woman are on such a hatred path that coming together is a done deal. And I'm not. I wouldn't even try to fight that battle and bring it together and do all
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
And that right there is why I brought up the question: is the nuclear family dead?
No,
Because like, and what I mean is like in certain demographics, it's absolutely worth the conversation. Just like you said, if we talk about the dating pool being pissy, you get out taking a shower.
right,
We talk about Antoine looking for a fresh one. Now we're talking about uh the division between the black man and the black woman in this absolute sense. And that's even based off the data and statistics we talked about before. We talked about the divide between the men and the women that will or won't date each other for blended family purposes. You know what I'm saying? So like you guys are just naming all of the variables that went into me asking this very simple question. Because even then, after all those different things, both you and both Antoine and Chris still desire the nuclear family. You know what I'm saying? But you also know what's in the street. You also know, you know what I'm saying, what you up against.
but I would put money to say the majority of men want a nuclear
Oh,
family.
want is
That's what I would
always.
say. I put all my money on that.
Hey,
Basket.
That's
look,
nature.
and here what I'm saying, right? Everything that a man wants is within reason for a man. You know what I'm saying? Based on environment, based on his own internal assessment of himself, recognize his own value, whatever. But it's also a complete opposite from what the women say that they want. The women say that they want a guy with 6 figures, 6 inches, like whatever the sixes are,
The
right?
4 6s.
Yeah, the 4 6s, right?
I think
And,
I'm missing one,
and
the height category.
yeah, and then to them,
we're not doing that tonight.
we're not doing that. We're not doing
I want
that.
to put that. I just want to be honest.
But to them,
I saw myself,
but to them, based on the 4 6s, they feel like they can have the same thing. Like that, the thing that they desire is out there waiting for them to pick them up.
Yeah.
So the level, the gap between what a man wants and what a woman believes she deserves is so big that it's like, who's gonna get what they want? And then after you start looking at, well, where's the connecting point? Where's the compromise? And there is none, based on what I'm saying, what both sides are saying. So eventually the conversation amongst this particular group of people that's not getting what they want, they are killing the idea of the nuclear family being obtainable, because she's not with it if he ain't got the 4 6s, and he's not with it if she got somebody else's kids.
See, I can't agree with that, because men have to keep bettering themselves. No, men should not become complacent. I don't believe a man should settle on his income ever. I think you should always keep thriving. You shouldn't be at a dead-end job that makes him miserable either, right? I don't blame a woman that's got her shit together wanting a man that's, when I say on her level, meaning mentally, physically, meaning he's got it all there. I don't think that's a hard thing. I think men that are confident in what they're doing and know they're aspiring to be better, I don't blame a woman that's got her shit together and really refined. She is a feminine woman. She is her role is set. I don't blame her for wanting to look for that, because that man needs to compliment her, right? Now, if she's looking at him based on his salary, based on his height, then she's looking at an image. She's not looking at a man. She's looking at the image in her mind of what she wants.
And
right?
I think that's the issue.
And
that's
right
there might be the issue.
Right there is the area.
There might be the
right
issue.
there is where the area.
Point. That's exactly what I'm saying.
That might be the issue.
Ideologically, the space between this hand and this hand,
right,
is closer for some, and is further away from somebody else. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like this might be measured in kilometers, and then it might be measured in miles for somebody else.
Right.
So, but both people think it's a realistic, option.
Exactly.
But the ideological divide between the two won't even make these people actually talk to each other. They won't even make them get in the same conversation, won't make them trust each other, won't make them sustain anything. You see what I'm saying? Like these little ingredients are the recipe for why I asked the question that I asked. It's a very brutal question, but if we can't build relationships in our own zip code, and we can't do it within our own families, and we can't do it around the people that we see every day, it's saying a lot. And at some point, if you can't,
you got to move, right?
It's saying you got to move, right? And then and then how many people are willing to relocate from where they were raised?
Well, the ones that got it together and want to succeed will move.
Of course they will, but like out of 10 though, like
I think their environment will make them move.
Or
they don't have a choice. Yeah. The environment is not conducive to your growth,
and you're not stuck anymore.
Right. They say that if you get too comfortable, you will get the divine creator will make you so uncomfortable where you are that you do not have a choice but to move.
Yep. Sometimes it make you stay, and sometimes it'll make you go, So even when you want to go, sometimes you might have to stay in order to get what you want. And sometimes when you want to stay, it's forcing you to go. We talk about
something supernatural pushing your back towards getting the hell out of where you are. You understand what I'm saying? That's
Right.
really what it is. And to your point, Antoine, I can totally understand a woman who has her stuff together not wanting a man who doesn't have his stuff together.
That's fair.
That's completely fair.
That's neutral.
There's and you spoke to it. I think the divide is the image part of it. They want an ideal and not an actual person, if that
Yes,
makes sense.
exactly.
They want
Like we have a lot of in California, we have a lot of people aspiring to be actors. They're broke. They got the looks, they got the height, they got the charisma, they got the lingo, but they're broke. They're working at a restaurant and most of them work at restaurants because they have the flexible hours to go on their auditions, right? Now, a woman, if a woman really falls in love with that man and he's broke, but he has everything else that she wants and she's willing to support his dream, I don't blame her for jumping on that because she sees how passionate he is about his art and she's jumping on board to support that. Now, if the man decides to fall back, not go on auditions as much, not practice his craft, not believe in his craft, not study his craft, he starts falling back on how many shifts he takes at the restaurant. I don't blame her 100% to throwing him to the curb. Because that's not what she signed up for. She signed up for the man that was passionate without her.
Yeah, man, you can't change the plan and then expect her to stay.
Exactly.
You can't do that.
Like I agree with that because you
can't
break
do
the
that.
contract because
You broke the contract.
Yeah, like now.
But on the flip side of that, when I spoke about image,
Mhm.
the women have an ideal and an image that they're trying to go for. The men also have an image and an ideal that they're trying to go for instead of an actual being. We are in an over sexualized society. There is no way in heaven that you are going to find a woman with, I'm going to say, finding a woman with a low body count nowadays is like finding a needle in a stack of needles.
I'm glad you mentioned that.
You know, and to go with that,
Ooh,
that's where the sexual discipline piece came in for me. It's like, okay, let's just reset, neutralize everything. You can't take back your bodies. You know, can't nobody take back the bodies that they caught. You know what I'm saying? And at some point, when you start having people that's talking about the body count conversation, if they're not framing it the right way, then it just ends where it starts. Pretty much, it goes right into conflict. That's why, like, if you say sexual discipline, it hits different, meaning that you can have a degree of experience, right? And everybody's an adult at this stage in their life. You know what I'm saying? Like we've had whatever experience we had. The goal is to not repeat the same behaviors from your 20s and 30s in your 50s and 60s.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So like
right.
you gotta at some point get into an era of reason. And reason has to come with discipline. So
right.
if you spend your 20s and 30s, you know what I'm saying, running amok and being sexually immature with every person that you've been with, yeah, you're gonna be jaded. Yeah, you're gonna have less, optimism, you know what I'm saying, about what you truly want or what you said you want, and which goes back to what you said earlier. A lot of people want the image of what they're talking about.
Right.
And they don't really want, and they just feel more comfortable arguing and just being disagreeable about it. Because if you really want something, you don't invest more time in disagreeing about it than you do in solving the problem and trying to put yourself in the right space to get what you want. So when you look at how the loud majority of the argumentative people, most of those people are not going to get what they want no matter what. You know what I'm saying? No matter the circumstance, no matter the argument, whatever it is, there's going to be a group of people that's not going to get what they want. Everybody has these people in their families. Everybody's got an aunt or uncle that's got a problem with the opposite sex, that can't get what they want, that living at home, living on somebody's assistance, lazy, blaming everybody. That is the same person that is got access to a keyboard and a social media group where they want to go blast and say, overgeneralized jaded statements.
But let's be real about something, okay? And I'm going to say it. No matter how much.
Go ahead.
No.
I don't know why you put that disclaimer out there.
I never
What's
understand
wrong with you?
I
Why
never
do you do that?
Antoine, we've been doing this almost 3 years.
I'm just saying. Okay.
I'm gonna say it, like there's something different. Shut up.
But
right.
Just
Yeah.
saying.
Okay, no matter how much money a woman makes, it doesn't change her role as a woman. She ain't ever gonna wear the pants.
And most men
Yeah,
don't
I
give a
don't care
fuck.
what she does in the office, but when her ass is home, she's my wife, my lover, my kid's provider, and who she is as a woman. I really don't care what she makes. I'm hoping she makes a good salary. If she can make more than me, great. But she ain't above me, and the role doesn't change
Well,
at
well
all. And
And
that's what
see,
men have.
and,
That's
and
what
here's
men
the
have to make women understand. I believe every woman should be put on a pedestal in the sense that if she's your woman. But it's when she turns that pedestal into entitlement, that's when you got to take her down and level her out a bit and go, hey,
but see,
well,
here's the thing that
go,
I've
go ahead,
learned.
Chris. Go ahead,
Here's
Chris.
here's here's the thing that I've learned. Men really don't care about what a woman makes.
why
They,
should
they
we?
really don't. We're not looking for financial stability from our woman. We're not trying to be here's my husband, the wife. We're not trying to do that. If anything, and this is me anecdotally speaking, most of the men that I have come across that have gotten married has set their woman up to sit her ass down, meaning she can do what she wants to do and not what she has to do. What she brings into the house does not affect what happens to the house. It's an extra. It's like when the cup overflows, the woman bringing whatever she brings into the house is the overflow. The man is looking to take care of everything. There's like an innate nature level of responsibility that we have when we have a woman under our covering, that we got to take care of this. This is my woman. I don't want her out here doing all of this. I don't want her out here working 40, 60 hours a week like I am. I want her to be able to chill out at home and take care of the home. I don't want her out here like that. She can work if she want to,
But
but
Chris, let's be real now. Today's world, come on
in
now.
this in today's economy,
In today's
it's
economy, she working.
there's a stat. Seven
She's
out of
working.
10. There's a stat.
It's not like
7
your
out of
mom
10.
and dad
Wait,
days.
wait, 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 wait. There's a stat. 7 out of 10 married women work either full or part-time. So
Okay.
that's the thing. Yes, that is a thing. But at a nature level, at a core base level, I don't know a man that wants a woman out there like that.
I wouldn't listen. There's no way I'm coming into my wife's life because she's a grown woman, and there's no way I'm coming into her life and telling her, I make more than you now. I'm the rich dog. I'm the big dog. You're gonna have to give up your career. I don't blame her for looking at me and going like, I'm sorry, and you are who? Because she
Yeah,
studied to become who she is. If she's
yeah.
a surgeon, a doctor, a lawyer, even if she's doing a passionate job working with dogs, I am not going to tell that woman she has to stop working and go at home. I'm going to say, listen, we're going to have a baby. Let's come together for the baby. Let's come together
Yeah,
for the child.
let's figure
And
this
then
out.
I want you to figure out a way how you want to do it and still provide what I want and what we feel is right for the child. You figure that out. Don't involve me, because I know what? I'm not going to be the one to take away your career. I'm not doing it, because you will never take away my career. So she has to make that decision. But no man should come and tell a woman, oh, I'm the rich man now. You're going to give up your career, stay home with the kids, raise the kids, cook and clean. What the
Well,
But
boy?
on the flip side of that, on the
before
flip
you
side,
before you say that though, Chris, I want to also make sure we capture this part right here, and I'll let you talk. Antoine has been a proponent of the 50-50 relationship.
100%.
So that's important to say, because the traditional mindset may not agree with what Antoine is saying, but that's the demographic of, you see how diverse the the dating criteria is. You know what I'm saying? Antoine's making room for the women that are out there that are career driven, because Antoine's career driven with his craft. So
She should be career driven. I want
it
a
should
smart
be.
woman.
Yep.
I want a woman that knows how to handle business if anything happens to me.
but on the flip side of that, I get what you're saying. I completely understand what you're saying. But on the flip side of that, when we come together and the woman is comfortable enough in the man to see that the man is actually providing the necessities and the big stuff, she naturally just might cut back on her career because she doesn't have to do it as much, because she's
Right?
not taking care of herself by herself. She has you. You understand what I'm
Exactly,
saying?
Chris.
That's
But
what I
listen,
mean by set her up to sit
okay,
her down. I
right.
don't mean completely just stop working. I
But that's
mean,
coming from her.
okay,
That's not coming from me, right?
exactly.
Okay.
That means, okay, I married you. You're under my covering. I got to take care of everybody because that's the rule. I got to take care of everybody. And legally, I got to. You understand what I'm saying? I'm
Right.
responsible legally. You don't have to do this as much. You can cut back if you want to. I'm not going to tell you you can or you can't. Now, if we decide to have children, we need to work something out so that way the kid doesn't suffer. Because
There
you
you
can't be
go.
working 50 hours a week and me working 50 hours a week and then the kid is just there because something is going to be missing. You understand what I'm saying? That's what
Yeah,
I meant by set her up to sit her down.
but
I
a
didn't
lot of
mean
these men,
completely not do nothing.
but Chris, a lot of these men on social media are talking so full of shit and out of their ass saying, yeah, my wife's going to do this, stay home, cook, clean. You ain't providing shit. Nigga, you make $42,000 a year. Maybe you're clocking 80. You ain't doing shit. You know what you're doing? You're going to have a discussion with your wife and say, what can we afford? Right now, I know down to the penny how much I spend a month for one guy, me. I know how much water I waste. I know how much food I eat. I know how much on my miscellaneous bill. Now, a woman comes into my life, I'm going to double it. And I'm going to add another $1,000 onto that for waste because she's going to leave the water running more than me. She's going to, you know what I mean? Her car, you know what I mean? I'm putting in women's driving. You know, they get an accident once a year. I'm putting that into the mix. Her borrowing my car. I'm going to have to fill her car up with gas, take it to get an oil change. I'm going to factor all that in, right? So I know right away my living went up. Now, if she says to me, hey, you know what? I want to go on a vacation. I'm going to say, okay, let's go on vacation. How much can we spend here?
How much of a vacation can we afford?
Yeah. Now, I can afford the whole vacation by myself, but you know what? I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. I'm going, hey, baby, how much you want to get married? You want to have kids? Okay, we got to start budgeting here. What kind of vacation can we afford to go on? And that's a discussion you should have. Now, if she's saying, well, you're not balling, you should be taking care of me. Let me just show you what the door is so you could just, escort yourself out. Because
and that's why I agree with you when you said that when that pedestal becomes entitlement, you take the entitlement away and you
have to take her down from the entitlement
I
and put it back into a nice pedestal and say, listen, this is what
I get that.
That's all I'm saying. But too many men are unrealistic today, talking out of their ass on social media, saying, "Oh, he makes $50,000 a year, but he wants his wife to stay home, cook and clean." And I'm like, "Where you living?" Because the last time I checked, my mortgage is fucking $3,000. You know what I mean? Like, what are you talking about? It doesn't work that way. That's all I'm saying. Like, you got to talk within your means.
And and there has never been a time in history where women did not work, ever.
Yes.
There has never been a time in history where women have not worked. There has been a time in history where the man was responsible for the majority, and whatever the women brought in was extra. They didn't depend on what the woman brought in because the man had it. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
And like I said, that's why I brought up set her up to sit her down. You don't have to do this as much because I got this. You don't have to do this as much. You can cut back if you want to. I'm not telling you to, but you can if you want to. You can relax. You don't have to live in survival mode anymore,
right?
Because I got you. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
And that's what and looking at this comment right here. Why Black? I hope I'm saying your name right. I would have to agree with you because this generation has become so selfish. They don't think about nobody else but themselves and what they can get out of somebody instead of working cohesively with somebody to build something bigger than them. It's not about you. It's not about her. It's supposed to be about us. Coach says this every Friday on Empowering Perspectives. Shout out to Coach. The most important person in the relationship is the relationship. What are you doing to help the relationship instead of trying to see what you can siphon out of it? Quit being so goddamn selfish. You're not entitled to nothing. I don't have to do nothing for you. Everything that I do is choice. What are you doing to get me to make the choice to take care of you? How about you think about it that way?
Exactly.
Jackass.
Damn, Chris, angry man.
Damn right, you got that shit right.
Okay, but listen, but let's be real, okay? And another thing that men have to realize is that kids cost money, right? I learned that from my brothers. I'm like, dude, you spend that much on diapers a week? He's like, shit, maybe sometimes more on formula. I'm like,
diapers, wipes, formula, bottles.
I'm like, blown away.
Crib, clothes because they go out of their clothes every month.
Yeah.
Listen, man. Yeah, I get it.
And I'm blown away. I'm like, a baby poops that much? Like, are you kidding me? And he's losing sleep. And I'm like, he goes, how do you do it? He goes, dude, I had 2 hours sleep last night. I had to get up and go to work. and I'm getting up, and she's the one breastfeeding, but I'm the one getting up with her, and I'm like, I'm like, okay, I didn't factor that in. You know what I mean? I didn't factor that in, right?
Yeah. We
And
go through it
and
just
and
like we go through it with them. We just don't have the physical side of it. You understand
right,
what I'm saying? We don't have the physical side
exactly.
of it, but we still have the responsibility side of it. So if you up at 3 o'clock in the morning breastfeeding because this kid can't go to sleep, I'm up with you because
I'm
I
up with
can't sleep
you.
because you can't sleep. You
I'm
understand what
the
I'm
one
saying?
making we're the ones making the coffee. I don't know about you, but we're the ones making the coffee, and I'm like,
I'm
all
I'm
right,
the I'm the one with the boiling hot water on the stove, so that way you can put the bottle in there, so that way you can feed this kid. You
right?
understand what I'm saying? We go through it just like they do. That's why I say, man, it's not about an individual thing, man. I do not believe in independence in a union. And when a nuclear family is supposed to be a union between two people, you can't be independent in a union because the other person is relying on you, just like you relying on the other person. But we're just relying on each other in different aspects.
Exactly. And you know what? Like I said, man, I'd rather be tired with my wife than without her because I know she's gonna come out for me. I mean, baby, I'm just as tired as you. I was with you on that one. I may not give you the nipple, but I was there with you. You know what I mean?
Right. Right. I got the prep work done. All you gotta
Uh-uh.
do
I am
is
not gonna be
is
sleeping while you up because I know when I wake up fresh, I'm
I
gonna
am
hear
not
from
trying to
you.
hear your mouth on the strength. I am
But,
not trying to hear your
but
mouth.
you know what I also want to say, and maybe I want to say it this way. I believe like today men are saying, housework isn't as hard as a woman's job isn't as hard as a man's job. And that is such BS, man. Women have a certain role. When I say 50-50, I want people to understand this is how I look at 50-50. Because Vic is right. That's the way I see it, right? A woman's role is just as equal as mine 50-50. Because the job she does is 50% of what I am not doing in the job that I do.
And it's just
So
as important.
it's just as important
It's
and just
just
as
as
hard. It's
important.
just different roles. That's why when men say, well, a woman's job is this, I'm like, dude, it's 50-50 in the relationship, even I believe now, I don't care what's out there, when it comes to coming together and building this family. And then after that, when you have kids, it's all about the kids. It's not about us anymore. We're sneaking in when we have sex. We're sneaking it in. I mean, that's all we can do, right? And then after when they get a certain age, we're locking the bedroom door. And then when it gets to a certain age, we're hoping they're out the house. So there's a process to it. But
But see, I can understand when you say 50-50, but their 50 and our 50 don't look the same.
they don't look the same.
They don't look the same. They're supposed to complement each other. You understand what I'm saying? I'm not looking for 50% of the rent from you, and you not looking for 50% of the housework to be done by me. You understand what I'm saying? It's not the
Exactly.
same. It's not the same.
It's not the same, man. And I don't understand why that's so hard for these people, for family. That's why I say I come from a nuclear family. So I don't have a problem understanding where a woman's coming from in that area. And if you're a man and you come from a nuclear family, that's why you're not agreeing with the shit that's being said on social media about coming together relationships. You're
That
not.
most people view 50-50 monetarily instead of being duty based. You
Dude, it will
understand what I'm
never.
saying?
I'm being realistic. It'll never be 50-50 monetarily.
Exactly.
And
And that's the point.
mm-mm.
That's the point. Is never 50-50 monetarily. I got 50% of the duties to make sure you have a covering. You got 50% of the duties to make sure that my covering is okay when I come back to it. That's the 50-50. You understand what I'm saying? It's
Mhm.
not, I'm not asking for money. I'm not asking you for no money. If you can provide it, great. Okay. You did this. So the little bit that the little bit or the lot of bit that you did, I could put aside so that way we can go on this lavish vacation that you want to
Hold
go
on
on.
there, Rick. Oh, hold on there. I just want to
No,
say,
but that,
I just
but
want
what I'm
there.
saying,
I
like,
just,
here's the thing. Here's the thing. Like, say for instance,
I'm asking
hypothetically
my wife.
speaking, hypothetically speaking, you got the mortgage, you got the insurances and all of that stuff, and she comes out of pocket and pays maybe one or two of those bills. What are you gonna do with that extra money?
No. Hold on a second. Hold on. First of all, I am asking my wife for money.
Oh, Jesus
Oh
H.
hell yeah. Listen. I am a gentleman. I will take you out for dinner. Do all that manly stuff. Cut the grass. You bring me my lemonade. I come in for lunch. You do the dinner. I take care of the backyard. You come into the house. You take care of the living room. No. I'm asking my wife for money. Oh, I'm asking her for money. Because you know why? I'll tell you why I'm asking her for money. Because that's part of the 50-50. Now, even if I make good money, which I think I do, of course, I'm not going to change my lifestyle. I'm going to buy the things I want. I'm going to provide for the house. I was paying the mortgage before you came in anyways. I'm going to do
That's the
the
point.
yeah, I'm going to do the manly
That's
thing.
the point.
Right. But now, as things increase and we're together, we're a partnership. Your partnership's going to open up your purse and that bank account. I don't know about you, but I have no shame in doing that. All right? I have no shame in doing that because this is what you're signing up for. We're raising a family together. The bills are going to be on the table. All right? I'm not going to scratch my head panicking at night. Oh my God. Instead of now it's 3,000, it becomes 8,000. Where am I going to find that other 5? And you did what? No. It don't work that way. No.
That's why that's why I can understand what you're saying. Okay, you and I are coming together. Let's get a budget going.
Let's get a budget going.
Because in this economy, we can't afford to waste nothing.
I don't mind. You want to go to Great Wall of China? Great. That's on my bucket list too. But when it was me alone, it cost me $2,000. Now you're coming into the picture. You want to see the Great Wall of China? Great. If it's costing me 2, it's costing you 2 as well. Now, if you're a little short, I put some extra in there.
I think that's more of an effort thing. At least put forth the effort. You understand what I'm saying? Put forth the effort.
Yeah.
Offer. You understand what I'm saying? Offer.
That's all I'm saying. And allow me to take it.
Listen, can I say this? I don't think women understand how big of a deal it is for her to just offer. I don't think they get it. That is such a big thing for us.
Say that again.
Just offer.
Just offer.
Give me the first right of refusal. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, give me the option to say no.
Yeah. Like, but when you just automatically just say something, you just sit there like this right here.
Yeah.
Like it's a disrespectful degree of entitlement.
But I believe a real woman would. That's the difference.
I agree with that too.
I believe
a real woman offers. A real woman is like, I know what I'm asking him to do. So
I think disciplined women offer. Like disciplined women are reasonable about the union and the partnership. The undisciplined women are unreasonable and
got their hand out.
Yep, and got their hand out.
Yeah.
Which is why, I used my hands earlier talking about some people measuring distance in kilometers and some people measuring it in miles, right? So when you think about it, if we're talking about creating unions and healthy relationships, you cannot do anything that we're talking about doing without discipline being involved. So like, even if Antoine's utopia version of 50-50, it implies cooperation. It implies that you have to bring something to the table. I even hate saying that, but like in the 50-50 dynamic, you can't discuss 50-50 without talking about what you bring to the table. Then if you want to be a traditional man and still want all of the compliance that you expect, you know what I'm saying, that comes with being, like a head of household in a traditional relationship, then you also have to submit to the idea that a woman has a certain expectation in a traditional household as well. So you got to be careful what you're asking for. And this is why I say you can only have the relationships that you can afford, and it doesn't have anything to do with money. With that being said, when you start talking about blended families, because these are the families that we try to, these are the families that are part of the dynamic too, right? So I thought about this question, like in a blended family, should your woman get your stepdaddy privilege for free? Because if you're already talking about taking on
that, I don't understand what that is.
I'm gonna break it down for you right now.
I don't know either.
Yeah, I'm like, what?
Okay. So hey, I love it when I ask the question and you guys think about it and you pause because you kind of know how it's gonna go, because you're smart enough, you understand how this content goes, right? But one of the things in a blended family that comes up is that if you are the man, you are expected to take on a different level of responsibility for the kids, right? Now, even if they're your kids or her kids, when you come into this situation, and let's just say you don't get, like, she's not getting any type of monetary assistance, right? But even then, she's still in the market for.
Wait, she's not working? Is that what you're saying?
No. She's working, but she's not getting any assistance from the father. of the kids. Because
Okay.
sometimes you run into situations where, yeah, a woman can do for her own kids out of her own resources, and she not getting anything from the father for whatever reason, no matter what it is. Okay. But regardless of whatever she's getting or not getting, if you bring them into your space, you're going to be ultimately responsible for them in the immediate future, right? If she hasn't pressed the father for any type of help, how does she automatically qualify for your resources to help her kids?
She don't.
You see what I'm saying? Like, you got to understand that that's a broader dynamic too, because like we haven't really broke this down, because like there's a degree of entitlement on both sides, right? When it comes down to it, these relationships with blended families and relationships in general are not cheap. They cost money. They are an investment of time, resource, energy, and whatever comes with it. Because like, just because you want kids, that don't necessarily mean you're gonna end up with healthy kids. You get healthy, you get some unhealthy kids, your life get very expensive. Then you got your own health to worry about. You know what I'm saying? So
I just want to put, I advocate for, if anything's born with illness, sickness, Alzheimer's, all that sort of shit, I'm aborting. I'm just putting that out.
Jesus.
I am not suffering the rest of my life for some drooling kid. I'm telling you, I'm putting that right
you
there.
see what I'm saying?
Let's make
Like,
that fucking clear from now.
You see how I
I'm gonna be selfish right there.
Wow.
I am not suffering the rest of my life with some drooling kid. Ain't happening. I'm putting it out right there. I'm coming from that perspective. Let's make that
Come back.
And I have no problem saying that.
Antoine, come back.
That's all I'm saying. I ain't ruining the rest of my life for that shit. No, thank you. No. I'll adopt first.
Antoine's comments do not reflect everything that
That's
comes. It's his own opinion, and we will move forward.
Thank you. I just want to make that clear before we say that.
Hey, but that goes into it though, because like sometimes you might let's just say you meet a nice lady, right?
Mm-hmm.
She got kids, and all her kids got behavioral issues, but you like her. Is it a deal breaker? You know what I'm saying?
Whoa. I'm still tapping it, right? We're talking about
No, I don't.
I would sleep with it. What's wrong with that?
You already calling it it. Yeah.
No, I'm not passing it up. I just said I wouldn't.
Wait a minute. When you say behavior issues, what do you mean?
Like, just can't stay out of trouble.
Yeah,
because like, you got to understand, you don't know the chemical imbalance of those children that come from that father that's not around.
You see what I'm saying? Them kids may come and kill me.
No. What I'm saying, like, man, you ever watch some of these shows that's like on TLC, or like when you got Love After Lockup, or these killer kids, or like you watch these shows, they have a format, bro. There's a profile to every one of the families when it comes down to the kid that ends up being a killer at age 15. And it's a step parent involved every time. There is a step parent imbalance. When you talk about stepmothers, they don't say great God-fearing stepmothers. They say evil stepmothers. When they talk about stepfathers, they never talk about stepfathers in a positive light. The only ones that we do see in a positive light are generally associated with entertainers and athletes. We're not saying that they don't exist. We're talking about the ones that actually get the attention, because it's an unsung type of, you know what I'm saying, role in a life, right? So with that being said, you're actually paying to not be acknowledged. You put that out there, and you're making it. You saying, "Yo, I'm gonna take on your kids and everything," and then I gotta take a back seat, because you're already saying you hope you can discipline them, and you can't do that. Antoine talk about it all the time. They talk about it all the time. He like, yo, the daddy got to be dead, so he got to. Yeah. So Antoine is only with it if it's a widow situation. That's just the bottom line. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. If he's a widow or he's a vegetable. So
what does it cost for, like, if you believe in the family, and if you believe in having a family, and there's a woman that's still, you know what I'm saying, that fits the criteria for you to create a family with, and even if she had kids already, and I know that this isn't your thing, but should men be asking for a little bit more from women if they willing to be a stepfather? Because it's like you just got through talking about she got to pay in a 50-50 relationship, Antoine.
Let's make this real clear.
Go ahead. I'm getting out the way.
Vic, if you are getting with a woman with a kid, you better know who the father is. If he's a criminal, if he's in jail, where his ass is at. And if he's got a gold teeth, leave the fuck run. All right? Let's make that clear from now. If you're getting together with a woman with a child, you better know who that father is. Is that father in jail for murder, breaking and entering? Is he a criminal? Why is he not there? If he's
What if she lies?
now, you got to do your homework and find out if she lying.
Okay,
You got to find the name, and with today's real
Anybody can
estate
be
and what you
deceived.
can do, you need to find out who that man is.
well, anybody can be deceived, right?
Anybody can be deceived, but you got to find out who that man is. You have to find out who that man is, and if he's 6 feet under, God willing, that's great. But you got to find out who that man is, and you know what you got to do too. If that kid has Parkinson's or some shit up his ass, you got to get her tested to see if she carries that gene. If you want to stay with her too, you got to do your homework for this shit. Because any woman that has a kid, that man is gonna come looking for you, and ain't no man want another man to raise his kid if he's a criminal, and ain't no criminal want a man better than him raising his kid. There's a war right there. That's you're stepping on vengeful ground right there. You have to know who that man is. And I think if a woman gets with a man that has a kid, she better know who that baby mama is. She better do the homework. Is she crazy? Is she want to show up at the house with a knife? Is she jealous enough to pull a gun? You have to do it, not only with her, with him. Let's put that disclaimer out there right away. No man should be walking into any baby mama situation without knowing who the father is. And if he's okay with it. Because if he's not okay with it, you're looking down a road of hell. Background check. And like I said, if he has a gold teeth, run. Run. I don't know what you're talking about.
I can't really dive into this question because I'm a product of a single mom home, and my mom married a guy, and he might be the biggest piece of trash that I've ever come across in my life. So I don't know. And to answer this question, I would be jaded. So I'm going to just remove myself from this particular question. It wouldn't be right for me to answer this question because I don't think that I have it in me to be objective because of the piece of trash that tried to raise me.
And you know what? That is the most honest, professional thing you can say. Now, I will say this also. Listen, and I'm telling you this too. As a man that doesn't have kids, if I had kids and a woman was coming into my life, she better make sure I'm able to introduce her to the baby mama. Because why do I not want her to meet her? Because they're going to end up fighting sooner or later. Something's going to happen that they're going to end up fighting. They're going to have to meet. And that woman should know who that woman is. And if she's crazy and you see crazy coming, what's the thing you do? Cross the street or leave. That's craziness, man. And it's easy. And don't tell me you didn't vet the person good enough. There's so many ways to vet a person today. It's sickening, right? You can go to a police station and vet a person. So all this has to be taken into play. Because first of all, it's the well-being of the child. That's not even a question about it. Okay? If they divorce, why did you divorce? Did you get bored? Because if we get married, that means you're capable of getting bored. Like you have to get to the in-depths of things when it comes to getting together with a woman with a child. If you're going beyond sex. Now, if you're on the sex, a little thing on the side, you know what I mean? You have a little thing. But if you're going beyond sex, you better vet that person good.
I love it when Antoine goes on his rants because eventually he's going to hit a talking point in a set of questions that I already had lined up. And look at the question on the screen.
Do divorced and widowed women with children have a better chance of getting remarried than a woman with kids that never was married? Yes, because they did it. They know what they're doing and they know what they're getting into.
Simple question, right?
They don't fear commitment. They don't fear commitment.
Very simple question,
they
right?
know what they're doing.
So
I'm not, and we're not saying that it's an impossibility for a woman with kids that's never been married to
but we
get
talk
married.
about probability versus
the probability of a divorced woman or a widow woman with children getting remarried is a lot higher than a woman who's never been married with children. It is because the divorced woman or the widow woman knows what they got into and they already have done it. So they know the responsibility of being a wife before having a kid. They understand it. They know what they're doing.
I agree
They
with
may
that.
have to tailor it for the man that they with, but at base level, the core is still the core.
Right on, Chris. Exactly. And you know what? It just shows me she's able to commit and work with a man. Okay, that's what it shows me.
Now, and to Antoine's point, the divorce side of it, I would have to ask why. But at least but at base level, you still tried to do it right in the first place. You wasn't out here just letting every man in the world invade your womb and spit kids out before you got a ring put on your finger. You actually tried to do it right. Okay, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. But
Like, yeah.
I need to know particulars before I go gung ho.
But
You
that
understand what I'm
and
saying?
that and you know what, Chris? That leads me into what I'm going to say next. Personally, I do not understand how women accidentally get married, accidentally have sex and have a child for an idiot.
There are
Young
no
and dumb. You're so young and dumb, but you're able to spread it for an idiot. At least
there
vet the guy. And if you
there
know
are
he
no
has,
accidents.
no, but if you know he has nothing going for him, he's got a gold teeth. You know he's an idiot. You know he's got no job, no background. He's not even a. Listen, you got to take the hit for the abortion, man. You got to take a hit. You got to say, you know what? I made a mistake, but I'm not going to let this mistake define me for the rest of my life. You got to take a hit. And too many women are not willing to take a hit. You know what I mean? You got to find the money to get that abortion. You got to drive out of state to get that abortion. You got to do whatever it takes to not bring that child into a world that's going to make you suffer, because you will suffer, because you will want a good man later on down the line. You will. And I know you want to say you're going to meet up and God's going to provide and bring a man into your life. That's great. La La Land thinking. That's cool and all. And that works in the movies. But it ain't working in reality. It's not going to be probable.
I'm
It's not going to be possible. Sorry.
I'm gonna say that part of it, I could dive into it because of what I've seen working in the system, but that's not what tonight's show is about. So I'm gonna leave that for a different show.
Okay.
I'm
Okay.
gonna leave that for a different show.
I got more on
Um,
that too.
but to your point, I will never understand how this may seem controversial, and I do not want to come across as a man who is attacking the opposite, our reflection. But for y'all to be the most educated, y'all sure do make some of the dumbest decisions in the world with y'all wombs.
Dude,
Jesus H.
man, right?
Y'all celebrate being so
Let me say
educated, but
this,
when it comes to y'all
man.
wombs, man.
Hey, look,
And I'm not saying all, I don't say all.
we talking
Only a
about the
Sith
undisciplined
deals,
people.
We're
only a
talking about
Sith
the
deals in
exactly.
absolutes.
Only
Only
Yeah.
a
talking about the undisciplined.
yeah. Only a Sith deals in absolutes. Word to Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yo,
I do not do all.
the undisciplined people, the undisciplined women that fit what you're talking about, they will make a baby with the wrong man before they make a sandwich for the right man.
Yep. Yep. Because he had a good deed, most of them
Ooh,
say. Yep.
man, listen.
Yep.
And
Yep.
that's why I can no longer patronize the quote unquote most educated group. I can't do that, man. I can't treat y'all like y'all don't know what y'all doing, because it seems to me like y'all do. I can't treat y'all like y'all stupid, and I can't treat y'all like
I'm
y'all
yeah.
kids. I can't do that no more, man.
It
And
goes
I'm not
both
taking
hey,
there's
it
no
goes
excuse.
both
I
ways.
love and respect you too much to
It,
treat you like that.
it goes both ways, because like that's what they love saying, right? And when I put it like this, are women not independent enough to solve their own problems with who they choose? If because you can't be independent and then complain about a lack of protection. Protection doesn't come with independence.
I
You have
still want
to
to know what that
you
protection
you
is
you
anyways.
you're independent enough to choose, you know what I'm saying, your environments that you put yourself in. And you have to make better decisions with yourself when it comes down to it. These are like in a 50-50 relationship. That's what it's talking about. Like I like the baseline part of it, you know what he's talking about. You come with a certain level of personal responsibility that reassures the other person that they are making a great choice in you or a safe bet. But if you are undisciplined and you just not practicing what you're preaching, right? Then all you're doing is performing. You're just performing you know, like it's an audition, it's an interview. Nobody that does an interview that speaks highly of what they want to do with, you know what I'm saying, for this potential job, goes into that job to adhere to every single standard. They there to get paid, you know what I'm saying? So they're going to do what it takes to not get fired. I'm just here so I don't get fined, right?
But Vic, that's why I say to you that for me, I look at it as every woman that has a child out of wedlock is not close to their father. Every woman I always say every, and I'll tell you why. Because there's no way a father is going to want that for his daughter, and he's going to be so protective, and he's going to say, "Listen, you got to watch out for men like me." Okay, because I ran that game. Now your mother and I got married, but I was that guy. And the father sees the signs of an idiot. If your daughter is sneaking out at night to go find a guy, the father's the one to tell you, if you have to sneak out of the house to go see that man, that means he must be an idiot and a lowlife. Because any good man wouldn't want you to sneak out of your own house to come and see me.
Yeah.
It's just common sense. These are things you break down that a father does. A woman doesn't know how to do that. A father puts two and two together real quick when it comes to the opposite sex.
But see, here's where I have an issue, because I'm starting to see a lot of girl dads do that, but they're doing it out of fear of what will happen to their daughter.
Right.
They're not teaching their daughters. They're not teaching they're teaching their daughters fear instead of teaching their daughters discernment. And the reason why they're not teaching their daughters discernment and they're teaching them fear, and it's not because they don't want this. It's not. I truly believe that it has nothing to do with the daughter. I believe that a lot of girl dads out there are afraid of karma. They are afraid of the fact that some dude might talk their daughter out of their panties, just like they talk somebody's daughter out of theirs.
True. I agree with that. But that can only come from a dad. That can only come from a dad.
But see, here's and to your point, I get what you're saying at a core level, but I don't think that the father should teach their daughters fear. They should teach their daughters common sense.
I don't think
They should teach their daughters common sense and discernment. You know what to look for. You not dumb. You know this dude don't like you like that. You know this dude just want to smash you. You know this dude ain't trying to come introduce himself to me. Come on, man. Come, you're smarter than this. I raised you better than this. You know better. That should be the conversation.
That should be the conversation. But I'll say this again. You shouldn't teach them fear, but they should have that child should have a sense of fear. A sense of fear of what her decisions could lead to.
Okay, so you're talking fear of consequence,
right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Now I
was about to say, yeah.
Now
like,
I get it.
And I like that statement, Antoine, and here's why. Men represent the consequences of the world. Like we're like the first checkpoint we're the first reality check for most people. You know, like your mom is going to keep you in, you know what I'm saying, in the space of, you know, thinking about Santa Claus as long as she can, because it's part of the mystique of, you know, preserving your childhood, preserving who you are to her. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And then your father's supposed to be like, stop all that crying. You know what I'm saying? You scraped your knee. Who cares? Get up.
Right.
It's like when the child falls down and starts crying, and it's the difference between the father saying get up and dust yourself off, or your mother running over to you to try to pick you up and, you know what I'm saying, and help you get back on your feet by yourself. That's a big lesson. If you need help all the way from the time that you in your toddler years to the rest of your life, you're going to basically be an adult toddler. You know what I'm saying? If your mother's hand is this close by all the time, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
But your father going to show you consequence one time. He going to show you like a man's accountability comes from his father.
Right.
And if your father ain't there, your accountability going to be limited. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, which is why, like on this platform, I'm okay with blaming and challenging men. I'm not blaming men. I'm challenging men. You know what I'm saying?
I'm blaming.
Like, you could blame or challenge. I think the ear that you hear it with is either blame or challenge, depending on what it is. Like if you're an accountable and disciplined man, you hear the challenge. But if you're an undisciplined man, you hear the blame. Right. And then when you're in the finger pointing mode, you're not solving the problem. So
But I don't mind being in the finger pointing mode and the blaming mode as long as I got a solution behind it.
That's the
But
point.
I am not letting you escape with excuses.
No excuses. None of
Okay,
that.
so I'm going to point the finger at you, say you made a mistake. I need you to take accountability. Now let's fix the problem. That's how I'm looking at it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So
you ain't
that
getting no scapegoat.
and
You're not.
man,
If you're a 304, I'm calling you a 304. Don't blame me because you had 10 guys underneath you. Like, don't blame me. You know what I mean? Hey, you know
And
what I
then
mean?
none of them love you.
None of them loved you, but don't come here and say, I learned my lesson. At that time, that's the woman I was. So just say, at that time, I was a 304. You know, at that time, I loved it. And now I'm looking to change my ways. And I'm hoping a man sees me for who I am now. I'm cool with that. I think that's cool
why
with that.
that's why like
That's
I created
grown up 101.
that's
Yeah.
why I created the sexual discipline definitions. Is because it's so immature to talk about body count. You 40, 50 years old. Everybody got whatever experience they got. You know, some people got more, some people got less. I'm not saying that it's not important. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that at some point, if you are attracted to something that you don't really condone, it's going to say something about you. Because as the man, you still have the final say so of what you want to connect yourself with. You see what I'm saying? Because over here, we're not talking about the quality of the woman because you're responsible for who you choose. That's the accountable masculinity dynamic, right? Because you like it's one thing to get deceived. It is a whole different animal for somebody to put a bunch of time in just to deceive you. You know what I'm saying? And out of 10 times, you're gonna be able to spot it 8. I give you 2 times, like what somebody might get you, but like 3 in a row. Come on, bro.
What they say, first time, shame on you.
First
Second
time,
time,
shame
shame on me for letting it happen. There
Yep.
will not be a third. 3
Okay,
strikes you out.
so
Got
yeah,
that shit
now-
right.
okay, so now let's be real. I'm gonna say this: body count does not matter, but I'm gonna explain why it doesn't matter.
Oh, here we go. Let me get out the way.
Okay, I'm gonna explain why it doesn't matter. If you know that woman's a 304, then asking her how many guys she slept with does not matter because she slept with enough to make her a 304. And if you decide to make that position, take that position and get with her and see if you could change her ways and turn a hoe into a housewife, you know body count does not matter because you know exactly what you're marrying. She already told you, I've had a lot of men. So how many men doesn't really matter. If she was a streetwalker, doesn't really matter. She lost count anyways. Now, secondly, I'll say this. Ain't no woman gonna be honest with how many men she slept with. No. And you're never going to be in a position to ask a woman that without being disrespectful to her, because that just tells her what you think of her to ask that question. And that's the way she's going to take it, and so she should. So it does not matter even if you ask her, what's your body count? She could say 3. The rule of thumb is you times it by 2. It's 6, whatever. So it doesn't matter.
It was 3.
Oh, I thought it was. Oh, really? Okay.
I thought you
There you
multiplied
go.
by 3.
Well, then there you go, right?
To your point, I can understand what you're saying.
Nobody's
Body
perfect.
count.
Nobody's gonna be. She's not gonna be honest with you, Chris. She's not gonna be honest.
But see, I can see what you're saying about body count not mattering as far as you asking her how many bodies she has. However, I do not think that any man would be comfortable with a woman on his arm and he goes into a place and he sees 5 or 6 different men looking at her like I had her. You understand what I'm saying? That might hit him in the gut a little bit.
Wait,
you understand what I'm saying?
Wait, stop right there. That's the level of woman he can get. He can't do any better than that.
To your point, you can have only have the relationship. You
can't
can
do any
afford
better
it.
than that.
It got nothing to do with money.
He can't do any better than
understand
that. That fat one you see him on the side of his arm. That's the best he can do. He needs a roof over his head.
You and these fat chicks.
He needs a roof over his head. That 304 is the best he can do. That's probably the best sex he'll probably get for the rest of his life. And that's what he's ending up with. Let's be real. He ain't good enough to get something higher than that. Right? He's not. A man, listen, and I keep saying it to you, right? Looks and height goes out the window when a man is standing on his wallet. It's just the way it is. That girl is the best he can do. I always tell every guy, look beside you. That wife you married, that's the best you can do.
And that's
She
why I
is the
said like
best you can do.
that's why I said on Sunday that I'm starting to see more men pull themselves out of the dating pool altogether and get themselves together so that way they can pick and choose what they want instead of having to settle for what they got. You understand
That's
what I'm
right.
saying?
Yeah.
That's why I said that's why I said that's the dynamic that we're really in right now.
Yeah, and which goes ultimately to what we were kind of discussing backstage, as the conversation has evolved from the gender war, the all of the toxic conversations and beefs. Now we get to the point where we men have to hold men accountable in a different conversation, and we have to draw lines around, like what makes sense to take up space, what I'm saying, with a conversation, right? Because like all of this body talk traffic, the I'm not taking care of somebody else's kids traffic, all of that stuff right there, it's not necessarily it really hadn't run its course yet, but it kind of has, depending on your age and your experience. You know what I'm saying? It's like I don't have to watch certain films anymore. Like I don't need to go watch a reboot of New Jack City. I don't need to watch a reboot of Roots or whatever other, what I'm saying, slave movie that's out there. I get it.
I refuse to watch the
And
new Color Purple.
exactly, and I don't need to see that either.
I
You know what I'm saying?
refuse.
Because like it doesn't affect my I'm not looking to be educated on something that doesn't impact the way that I move. You know what I'm saying? So when it comes down to it, we are in a solutions only era. And that's what the whole point of this
Yep.
platform is, because like you can't look back 3-4 years and you got the same complaints now in 2024 that you had in 2021. Either you're getting it or you're not. And if you're not getting it, then what are you doing to offset it? You
Besides
can't
complaining.
Besides complaining. And complaining says you can't get what you want. You can't afford what you want. That's what complaints say. The overall goal of what we're talking about is getting around like-minded people that want the same things you want and creating a conversation that allows what you want to not be ridiculed, to not be shamed, to not be, I don't know, made more difficult to communicate. So, because we don't know who likes who anymore.
But I'll say this, and I'll say this as a man. Even now, at the age that I'm at, I have to be realistic that most of the women that I'm looking at are gonna have kids, and I have to make a little adjustment in my life, thinking, okay, Antoine, seriously, how young do you want to go, which she's not even compatible with you mentally wise? And let's be real, right? So I have to start thinking about this, right? I say this to myself, and let's just say I want 2 kids. Let's just say she's able to pump out only one. I gotta really think about adoption. Because I do want 2 kids. I don't want no lonely kid in the house. I don't want that, right? So I have to start thinking about this. So there's, and I gotta admit, I gotta start thinking about the weight thing. I might have to beef that number up a little bit. I might have to. I might have to think about being not able to carry her over the threshold. I might have to look for.
Antoine, as
I'm
much as
just
you
saying,
work out,
Is Antoine snapping out of the delusion?
because my pool has to become a little bit bigger and realistic, right?
Look at
So
you.
I have to think.
are you getting out of it? Have you taken a shower?
What?
Is
What?
this what we
I'm
are
just
doing?
saying,
Hold up, let me get back.
I am a realistic guy. I have to start thinking like this. But I'll tell you one thing for men. I would say a man, when he takes the lead, should never move into a woman's house. If he's taking the lead, she's coming into your life. You're not going into hers, right? And women think emotionally, so you can get your ass thrown out. And I think realistic men that take the lead, you should have a place for her to come and live with you. And then from there, you decide what you're going to do. You shouldn't be going to live with the woman because you shouldn't be giving up nothing. Nothing. If anything, she's coming into your life as an asset. Realistically, right? Because you're going to, I can provide for you over here. I can't provide for you over there. It ain't happening. I'm not moving, not leaving my job. I'm not doing any of that for you.
So,
but I can provide for you over here.
So would you, to bring it back to the topic of discussion, which is the nuclear family,
right?
Would you say that the starting point of a nuclear family would be the man having a place to build a nuclear family, to
Yes.
bring a woman into?
Yes.
Okay.
Rather, he's living with mama and papa, but he's living in the house, and she's coming into that house to provide, to make it easier for him to save for a family one day. Yes. The woman comes into your life. You don't go into hers. It ain't happening. Unless you're on the street. But why is she with you if you're on the street anyway? So, yeah. That's how I look at it. I'm being realistic to that, because a man should not be moving into a woman's house.
So
you're giving her, and not only are you giving her more than power.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I agree with that. I agree with that too. That's why I said.
I was about to say, let me say something that captures that. If you a praying person, you don't pray in her name, you pray in his name. You know what I'm saying? So that's why you got to get off your lady's couch. You know what I'm saying? You got to have your own space. You know what I'm saying? You pray in his name. You pray in your father. You know what I'm saying? They say it's in your father's house. They don't say it's in your mama's house.
Exactly. And if you're going to be that provider, it starts with you. So you got to have at least something to provide her with. And if you're going to have something to provide her with, baby, you're coming over here. I'm not going over there. We're building over here. I'm taking the lead. We're building over here. I'm not building with you. So in that aspect of what I'm talking about, though, not when I say her as in, you know.
Man, this has been a very fire segment. You know what I'm saying, to close out the entire sexual discipline 3-part series. You know, we reached, you know, to a point where we brought it back down to the nuclear family. We started off with all of the behavior, you know, that we identified, and we just took it in, you know, and reacted to it, and we got a good reference point of where we needed to start the conversation. And then in the second part, on the previous episode, on part 2, you know, we got to it, you know, and broke down a little bit more in detail. And now in the third part, we brought it to where the nuclear family is what the ideal goal is for most men, and how do we see it, and where does it factor in, you know. And then of course we got Unkle Junior, you know what I'm saying, coming in. We do always have a question. We always have time for a question for Unkle Junior. Go ahead and say what you got to say, man. Shoot it in the comments. And now you guys have had this conversation because you know what you both want. You're adjustable, you're coachable, you've been receptive to the information that's been presented to you, and you've had to make adjustments in your own expectations because hopefully you've learned something that you didn't know before. And now when you do that, you got better dialogue to operate on your decision making off of. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
So with that being said,
wait, before we close, I want to say this about the nuclear family. I don't think we touched on it. Maybe we did. I also include your in-laws, your mother, my parents as part of that nuclear family, right? Because I'm telling you, if your father and mother need help and they're telling you they need help, maybe you have I don't know what kind of relationship. I'm hoping you have a good relationship. But the way I was raised is we're going to extend that help as long as you know that. They ain't ending up on the street. I don't know your father. Maybe he's an ass, but I'm going to tell him, listen, I wanted to help you, but this is how the rules are in my house. You break the rules in our house, you get kicked out. But I'm giving you the opportunity to rebuild over here, to be part of your kids, your daughter's life. That's part of the nuclear family. And hers as well. Not only mine, hers as well. And if she doesn't get along with my mom and dad, I know there's something wrong with her because I know how my mom and dad, how fair they are. And if my mother has an inkling that, oh, you know what, son, watch your back with this one. Why, mom? What is it? I'm going to question her on what my mom sees that I may be blind to, because a fresh pair of eyes is always, you know, better than because you're so close to the problem. So I want to include that as part of the nuclear family when I speak about it.
Yeah, because you got to extend that grace for that person's parents. Because if you don't care about that person's parents, you can't, in effect, really be genuine.
Know who they are.
Yeah, you know who they are. You can't be genuine in like how you care for, you know what I'm saying, their child, because that's what you're showing. It's like, hey, somebody out here in the world found your child, you know what I'm saying, and I'm here to take care of your child, you know what I'm saying, as an adult, because every parent wants to know that their kid is taken care of, no matter how old they get. You
Yeah.
know, so and let me go back to Uncle Junior's question
Okay.
before we get out of here. We got, what do men want most from their woman, or at least you men? What do you want most from your woman? You know,
Vic, you say it all the time, and I'm gonna say it now. I do not. What I want from a woman is a woman to cohesively work with me and not compete with me to try to be me and her at the same time. She has a position she needs to play. I have a position I need to play. Play your position. We are not your, like we said earlier, your 50 and my 50 are just as important, but they are not the same. Get
complimentary.
out, compliment me. That's what most men want. We want a compliment. We don't want competition. You're not better than me. And I'm not supposed to be trying to be better than you. If anything, I'm supposed to be trying to lighten your load, asshole. Get out the way.
I agree. I know what I know what you mean by that. Like I would say, along the lines of being more complimentary than competitive. You got cooperation. You know what I'm saying? Like all the words that we talking about imply that everybody knows they lane. You know what I'm saying? Like, which is kind of like it defeats the gender role conversation because everybody still has a role. You just putting gender on the front of it. You know what I'm saying? Like nobody's like Antoine broke it down earlier when he was talking about the weight of the responsibility in, you know what I'm saying, in a relationship. Like if you got kids with a woman, she's the new focus. It ain't just, you know what I'm saying, yo, I do more in this lane, but you don't really want to switch. If you don't have to switch, it's not the fact that you could switch, because you can always say, yeah, I can switch with you and do your job too. You know what I'm saying? But like that, there's no unity in that. There's only competition in saying something to that effect. So I think the most important thing that you want to have is participation. Like you said, acknowledgement. Like participation is the language of relationships. The minute that somebody's not participating in whatever capacity that you need them to participate in, you're gonna have a line of division that is gonna be hard to overcome. You know what I'm saying? But you have to make sure that you create the opportunity for that person to come in and participate. And you got to also be able to define and say, hey, I don't need your help right now. And the other person got to be okay with not being needed, because everybody's got their own problems in the relationship. Everybody's got their own individual ways that they want to accomplish what they're trying to accomplish. Everybody meditates differently to solve their problem. And in some parts of a relationship and being with someone, that you can't help them in some spaces and they can't help you. That's why ultimately somebody's, you know, like the phrase we always say, nobody's coming to save you. So what you don't want is someone that you share your resources with, your life with, to put you in survival mode where you don't know what you're going to wake up to every day. So the most things that you can ask for is to not take my opportunities away, to not infringe on, you know what I'm saying, the predictability that comes with peace. Because a woman can't bring you peace, and a man can't bring a woman peace. This peace has to be determined and has to be achieved individually. You have to
exactly. I always hate when people say that.
You have to be at peace to recognize peace.
Yeah. I'm already at peace. That should be a given. Of course, you're not going to bring me peace. I'll have peace.
Just don't bring me chaos.
Don't bring me chaos.
Okay. So that's a good question, boy. Let me see.
Shit,
I would say this.
Here we go. I'm finna get off camera.
I'm going to say this, man. First thing, I'm going to talk outside of kids, because the only thing I want a woman to bring me most of all is a kid, right? So outside of that, I'm going to speak and say outside of a kid, I want her to bring me an amazing sex every night. I want her to do everything we do together, that we just bond on a certain level sexually, that we know we want it with the flick of an eye. I want that passion. I want that stability. I want that assurance. I want her to know I am the only man touching it, right? That's a given. And I don't want no granny panties. I want you to be sexy for me at the level we are at all the time. Just like I'm going to do my best to stay in shape and give you what you need all the time. Then I want her to put me above her friends. All her friends. I want her to know that I am there for her. She is above all my friends. If I lie, I want her to be able to lie with me. That's how much I want her to be on my team. Because if I have to get her out of a jam and lie, I am willing to do that. Right? Now, I ain't going to say take a bullet for her because that's questionable. But you know what I mean. I'll protect the house. Another thing I want from a woman is her caring for me on a level that she never cared before. I can never top her parents. I can never top the love and the care that she has for her parents. But I'm next in line. Right? And I never want to have her I want my woman to not have to make a decision between her parents and me. But I wanted to know, I want to know that she's able to make that decision. That's how much love she has for me, that she's able to make that decision. I want that. I want it 110%. I want it to go beyond the call of duty for me because that's what I'm willing to do for her. And when I say I want her to be able to get shamed in order to protect me, because I'm willing to get shamed in order to protect her. Not that I would put her in that position. Right? And I'm talking. And the way to keep me is the way to keep me satisfied, is the way to keep me as a man, right? Is to not only feed me, but give me what I want. Because my job is to give you what you want. And you should have no problem giving me what I want. Why? Because you know 100% I'm giving you what you want. So you should have no problem giving me what I want. Right? And you're always able to talk to me. Not think about the right time to find a good call. No, you're able to communicate with me on a level that I know I need to sit down and listen to you. That's how important your words mean to me. She has to be willing to open her mouth like that. The best, she knows me so well that she could tell her friend, well, how do I tell him? I don't have to think about that. When I have something on my mind, I can sit my man down and tell him. That's the level of communication she has with me. She's not scared to tell me anything. And she's not going to lie for our kids. She's going to say, no, your father has to know. I'm sorry. And she's going to put me first above the kids to say, hey, you know what? Your father has to know. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to stall. I'm not going to delay. I want it to be 100% in. And the reason I want to be 100% in is because she has me 100%. That's how much it means to me. That's what I want from a woman. And if she can't do any of that, then she shouldn't. I'm not the guy for her.
You know, I greatly appreciate Unkle Junior making it to, dropping us some questions for Antoine to field, and always setting the standard. You know what I'm saying, for what it is to bring the right men together and having the right conversation amongst men of a certain experience, right? Men of a certain desire, men want things, men of purpose, men of value, and men of value care about communities. You can't care about communities without caring about families. Can't care about families without caring about relationships. And you can't have the relationship you want if your accountability won't afford it. So bring that all the way back down to what Code Talk is about, the Accountable Masculinity platform. None of it matters if you designate yourself as an alpha or beta. If you're not accountable, you're not useful. If you're not accountable, you're not masculine. And I'm saying that right now because people confuse what masculinity actually is. And it's your essence. It's what you represent. It's what people are going to judge you by. And you have to choose what boxes you fit in. And you do that with your behavior. You do that by what you don't say. And they pay attention more about what you do. Because nobody knows how to read you, because stoicism comes with masculinity, because you don't have to say much when you live what you say. You don't have to advertise. You don't have to do anything extra. Masculinity attracts. It doesn't repel anything. You know what I'm saying? So with that being said, I greatly appreciate the insight from you gentlemen, and shout out to the viewers that follow the channel and that support what we got going on here. Follow us on YouTube, and we'll see you next week, next Wednesday.
Make sure you subscribe on all platforms and hit the like button and follow. Please leave your feedback in the comments. Make sure you hit up the super chat, leave a donation to support the platform. Yo chick make you mad, my chick make me a sandwich. Yo chick make you mad, my chick make me a sandwich. Go cop the shirt, visit the merch store, shop with Accountable Masculinity, and support the platform. Men have hope.